welcome. We are back with Honey's Horror. I am Raiden, this is Blood Honey, and we are continuing on with the Halloween franchise where we will go through and review where I am well versed in horror, she not so much. And this is her first time having viewed Halloween H20 or Halloween 20 years later. Right there. And this, as you can see on this cover, that is one of the many masks that you will see throughout this movie because, yet again, like many times in this franchise, they really have no idea what the hell they're doing. Okay, so Halloween H20, this is, of course, a direct sequel to Halloween 2. It completely ignores 3, 4, 5, and 6. Completely done away with that. And yeah, so this is an anniversary film to that original and sort of a love letter and a way to, in a sense, kind of give closure to the Laurie Strode character. Now, walking away from this one, how did you feel?
I don't know where to go. I have many thoughts. I just I don't know. I have many thoughts.
Yeah, it's quite the retcon, erasing several films. But then again, I can't really blame them because I mean, after 6, it's like, where do you leave yourself to go? I mean, it was pretty much a complete failure on all fronts. And this film, you can tell they just wanted to go back to basics. And this one is directed by Steve Miner. He actually directed Friday the 13th Part 2 and 3 way back in the day. And he's come and directed this one. It's produced by Kevin Williamson, who wrote the Scream films. And so a lot of people have said over the years that this feels very much more like a Scream movie, like a 90s horror film, as opposed to kind of having that vibe of the classic films from the 70s and 80s and stuff. So yeah, you can really kind of tell that with jump scares, and the music is very prominent. You know, it's not as subtle as it was in the older films, in which, yeah, I get that. But overall, to me, I think this is a solid movie. It's pretty entertaining. Does it hold up as much now, especially with more recent entries? Probably not as much. So, I mean, did you feel that this was a decent direction to take following the 6th one? Like, did you enjoy what they did with the Laurie Strode character?
I guess it was an interesting approach. Other franchises can take notice. Yeah, I know. Let's see, because I remember kind of hearing about it when it came out. Mm-hmm. That I knew it was called H20, and I knew she was on like the cover or the poster or whatever. So I was like,
yeah, it's not about
okay,
water.
how did they bring her back?
Mm-hmm.
How does that work? I mean, did she fake her death? And, well, okay, she did.
Yeah.
Interesting. And then how it played out. Mm-hmm. I mean, I get it. She faked it, and I guess it kind of worked.
Yeah.
And she kind of started a new life, but, well, yeah, obviously, Shelby.
Yeah.
Obviously, he found her, so can't really escape the past.
No, you cannot. No, you certainly can't, especially with this franchise. You certainly cannot. No. Something's always around the corner. Mm-hmm. Just, I mean, yeah, it's interesting because this is, I mean, I feel like of all the major horror franchises, this one probably has the most complex history. I mean, this is where you really start to make a lot of turns in terms of continuity. I mean, simple enough. I mean, I know it's a horror film. I mean, if they want to do a follow-up, they want to kind of go back to basics, that's fine. Even things like, because you remember at the end of Halloween 2 where she shot him point blank in the eye, like dead on, like his eyes were bleeding, and yet in this one, you can see obviously clear as day, he has eyeballs now, because in this one, it doesn't shadow his eyes. You can see his eyes and everything, and he's not as burnt up. So as far as like that sort of continuity, it's pretty much non-existent. but yeah, I mean, so yeah, she's basically in witness protection. She goes by the name Carrie Tate in this. She has a son now who has just recently turned 17, and now of course it's Michael's re-emergence as she's the head of this school, and now he's coming after her after all this time. Do you feel, as far as kills, do you think it lives up to some of the previous ones, or no?
It's definitely got kills in it. Not like the last couple that are just kind of like, well,
Yeah.
they died, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could see where the whole Scream movie feel comes in. Yeah, given the time, that was right then. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but yeah, definitely the kills were better. Weren't that many, I guess.
Yeah,
but
I mean, you have the one brutal kill that was like in the little shaft with the one girl. Her leg gets all butchered up, and you get several stabs following, though kind of off camera. I would say it is very tame. Other than that, to the previous films, I would say the
Yeah.
gore effects were a lot better in the most recent films. As bad as 6 was, it did have some decent kills in it.
yeah, yeah.
And the mask, it's another thing. You absolutely hated it, and
There
now
was something about this Michael that I just didn't
right off
work
the
for me.
bat, she's just
Right off the bat.
she's watching it. She's like, he's not tall enough. Like something about him, he's just like, I'm not
Something-
buying this. It's just
something
it's
was
screwing up
just
the movie
not
for me. I
right.
can't take it. No. Well,
Not right.
yeah, I mean,
And I could tell the mask thing, yeah.
yeah. In the first scene, though, I do believe, which was the nurse, as I mentioned, from the first 2 movies, they brought her back to have killed off.
Okay, that was kind of
saying
cool.
that
I mean,
she had been
sucks, but
looking
yeah.
after Loomis after 2 and all that stuff, and that the mask in that scene throughout that was actually the mask reused from part 6, I believe. And then all throughout the movie, you'll see several shots, if you pay close enough attention, how they constantly switched up the mask because they didn't know what the hell they wanted to use throughout. So there's even a point, a CGI mask, as we all know, is pretty prominent, pretty obvious, and it's kind of bad. The mask in this one overall, it doesn't bother me, say, maybe as much as 5, but I mean, it's okay, I guess. It's
should,
passable.
based on solely the whole they had the CGI.
Yeah,
That's
the
dumb.
most distracting part is really just how it flips in between scenes. Like, you'll notice for a split second it's one mask, another moment's another. So, yeah, so that's one thing that's pretty distracting. I would say, though, it's definitely very 90s because you do have the introduction of LL Cool J, and there's also, so yeah, he's a co-star in the movie, as well as Josh Hartnett's first film and Joseph Gordon-Levitt at the beginning of this. I believe it's also his first feature, if I'm not mistaken.
He was on Third Rock from the Sun.
Yeah.
So that it was, time frame, I don't remember when that went off the air, but it was in the later season, obviously, because he was older.
Yeah.
It was on for a long time.
Yeah, and obviously gonna do a lot more things since then.
Yeah.
But LL Cool J in this, this is where they started to put a lot of rappers and stuff in horror films. LL Cool J, though, I would say he's really not bad at all. Because it was this, and he did Deep Blue Sea the year after.
I was just gonna say it was.
And,
right
and the
around
funny
then,
thing is, they always
so-
talk about how black people do not survive horror movies, especially they're the first ones
But
to
he did.
go. But he survives both of these movies, this and Deep Blue Sea, by the end of it, and
yeah, that was-
which is kind of
that
cool
was-
when you think about it. So I'm like,
Yeah.
But yeah, he's really not that bad. It's the kind of like the girlfriend he's talking to on the phone that's a bit, it's a little bit too much, I would say. But other than that, he's really not too bad. I like him in this movie. Her boyfriend, as I said, discount George Clooney, which I feel bad for this guy because he looks way too much like George Clooney. It's distracting. I'm like, he just pigeonholed himself from the start. He screwed. Although he is good, and I think he is likable in this movie. So yeah, I mean, it's all
that was
throughout.
An interesting part too,
Yeah.
but having
Yeah.
trying to have a relationship.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But Jamie Lee Curtis in this movie, I think, is really great. I mean, they went to this movie hoping for it to be the end, for it to that's what she signed on for at the beginning. But eventually, of course, things change, and they kind of screwed her over on that. When you'll see in the next film how we follow that up, and I know she's gonna really love that one, that's for sure. But like Halloween 2, this was meant to be a conclusion, and so all throughout
Yeah.
she's going after her son John and her and his friends and all that, and it's meant to be the climax. It's meant to give closure and bring things back, bring it full circle. Now, how do you feel the climax of this film? I think it's pretty solid.
I mean, we're talking about the very end,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, the very yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to go, assuming it was supposed to be the very end. But knowing what I know,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I haven't seen the other movies, but obviously, you can't come back from chopping your head off. Even if you're some evil entity thing, you can't come back from that.
No.
So
No,
the rest
you
of the
can't.
movies are just going to be
No. Mm-mm.
frustrating.
Yeah, well, particularly the next one, as far as this film's continuity. Yeah, it's a crap fest. The next one, I will admit, you're not gonna. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
sure
gonna be
you'll have.
yelling at you, I'm
I'm
sure.
sure you'll have so much fun watching that one. But to kind of wrap this one up, I mean, over the years, I've enjoyed it quite a bit. I would say now, I say it holds up okay. Not great, but certainly not terrible. One thing I really like about this movie, I love the opening once the credits starts. I love how they kind of, when they hit you with the music and the opening titles. I really do think that sets the tone. I love the news clippings on the wall and the narration, which it wasn't Donald Pleasance. They actually had a guy redo his dialogue from the first movie, but that does a pretty good job with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just the biggest thing is it just doesn't really have. It doesn't quite have that suspense and tone of the first movie. Like I said, it is very much like a Scream film, but all in all, it holds up okay, and it does. It does a well enough job of concluding. I feel like like I said, the beginning and the very end really kind of help elevate this film more than kind of what it is when you really break it down. So I would say it's about a 3 for me. It's not as great as the original by any stretch for me, but all in all, pretty solid. How would you feel closing out your review?
I would probably agree. What obviously was missing from the movie was Donald Pleasance.
Yeah.
So it's just not going to feel right not seeing him the next several films. So yeah, I could. That's what I feel was really missing the impact. He really made an impact.
Yeah.
In the tone, like you were saying.
Yeah, I mean, I said that from the start. I feel like he was the one from the get go, which a lot of these horror films don't really have. Is that one actor that really ground it and to make it something more than what it is. It's just killing people and stuff like that.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah, because he always loved doing it. I mean, he had his problems with 5, and again, he didn't live to see 6 be released. But yeah, I mean, he loved doing it. He would have kept going on. I mean, as what I've heard is that he would have done it several times over if he had the chance to. So yeah, it does miss him. But at this point, it becomes Jamie Lee Curtis's franchise by this point, essentially, that she's the one to carry it, rightfully so. And like I said, she did have the cameo with her mother early on in the film, Janet Leigh, and they had the whole psycho car and all that stuff.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a bit on the nose. Like they kind of, I feel like they focus on it probably a bit too much, but all in all, it's okay. But yeah, I mean, pretty solid movie. Not bad, not as bad as like 5, but hey, it's a Halloween movie. What can you say? Anyway, that is our review of Halloween H20. We hope you enjoyed it, and we will continue on next time with Halloween Resurrection, starring Busta Rhymes of all people.
Woohoo!
Oh yeah, you're really gonna love that one. Oh, I cannot wait. I'm honestly, I can't wait. It's gonna be fun. Not for the right reasons, but it's gonna be fun. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Hope you like, comment, and/or subscribe, and we will see you next time.